I'm just recording on the computer. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, we have, do you just want to briefly go around quickly? Yeah.
Sure. So Miriam Hernandez Jennings from Native Kids United.
Hi, Miriam.
I'm Donna McKenzie. Hi, Nikki. Nice to see you.
You too.
Hi, Nikki. I'm Bruno Giles. I'm here, new member.
Hi, Bruno.
Coordinator of the arts, and it's gonna be doing the drumming.
That's great.
That's Bruno.
Awesome. And
Yeah, I'm Debbie.
Tom and Randy, I know.
Yeah, we faintly know each other.
Yeah. It's really nice to put faces to names because I've seen all of your names over email now. So thanks for introducing yourselves. And I'm Nikki LaFave.
Sally just came in.
I'm Sally Hopkins.
Oh. Hi, Sally.
Hi, Sally.
I'm Tom.
So Deborah, did you want me to just sort of introduce the event and talk a little bit about it?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm Nikki, and I'm the director of the Natick Historical Society. And as I know, some of you know, for the past couple of years, we've been participating in a program that's funded by Mass Humanities, and they will give support to organizations across Massachusetts who want to host a reading of Frederick Douglass's 1852 speech, "What to the Slave is the 4th of July," to communities who want to host readings of that speech anywhere in the Commonwealth at any time of year. But the speech makes a lot of sense to hold around the time of Juneteenth and the 4th of July. And so the past 3 years, we've had it on the 4th of July around the 4th of July. And but this year we're experimenting with, and I apologize because I'm home with my 3 kids right now, so I'm trying to keep an eye on them as I speak. But we began doing the readings probably around the same time Natick for Black Lives Matter began, right in the wake of George Floyd's murder. And Randy from the beginning recorded that for access on the local cable station. And we started doing it with all kinds of social distancing with the recording so that people could participate from home. And you know, now there's not, excuse me just a minute. Now there's not as much need for all the social distancing, but the Morse Institute Library turns out to be a really nice place to host that reading, just because the way the stairs are set up and the way Randy has this set up for the people who come can really hear. And I think the recording comes off really well too. From the beginning, I had asked a local resident and historian, her name is Brenna Greer, to introduce the speech and sort of put it into historical context. And okay. To give the speech some historical context and help people sort of begin to think about its resonance, because it's surprisingly powerful to read in the 21st century, these words written in the 1850s. And we began with only teen readers, trying to recruit teen readers and giving them a way to engage sort of in civic and public dialogue around issues of racial justice in the wake of George Floyd's murder. But I think in the years since, it's become, I think 2 things have become clear. One is that teens are very difficult to pin down and get to commit to something, especially in the summer. But also, it's really powerful to have people of all ages read the speech together. And so that's really, you know, the goal now. And in talking with Deborah, you know, Deborah, who's been amazing at recruiting readers and getting all of you as members of Black Lives Matter involved and making it feel like an event that the whole community can stand behind and participate in and watch. And my hope this year, just as an update, we have 16 people signed up to read, which is really great considering we still have quite a ways to go until the 19th. My hope is that in addition to people signing up to read, that folks come and watch, because I think in the past, my daughter says she's coming to watch, but she's also coming to read. I think people have been a little bit intimidated, fearing that if they come, they're going to be asked to read. So I would just suggest that maybe as people are, okay, maybe as you're talking about this with members of the community, just remind them that they can come and just listen and sort of take in this speech as people read. There's no obligation to be a reader. And I think a number of the folks that sign up to read again and again each year really love to do it, and they're happy to read multiple times. I think that's where we're at. I'm sorry for being a little bit distracted, but Deborah, let me know if I've missed key points and if anybody has questions.
I have a question. Now, typically, you don't do it on Juneteenth, and this is the second year, the official holiday. Juneteenth is an indigenous holiday. I mean, it's not, it's just now, second year officially. So is that why you chose to move this on Juneteenth? Because before, it was closer to the 4th of July, it was never on, we didn't have Juneteenth. Last year, it was supposed to be July 4th, right?
Right. So we started holding it around July 4th because that's when that was the occasion for the original speech in 1852. But when Juneteenth became a federal holiday, I think there's been a lot of attention on Juneteenth and people looking for ways of understanding what Juneteenth is about and exploring racial justice issues in the present around learning about the history of that holiday. But for practical reasons, because it's a federal holiday, it means the library is closed. It means kids are out of school. It means some people are off work. And I think because Juneteenth has attracted so much attention with its new status as a federal holiday, people are looking for ways to engage. So in shifting it to Juneteenth, there's some practical reasoning there, but I think it's also an opportunity where people might find engaging around this speech more interesting.
Well, my question to you is, we want to, as an African American, we find, African Americans find that we don't want Juneteenth to lose the meaning, the roots of it, which is from the African American perspective. And so I asked Bruno, did I get it right? I asked Bruno to bring his drum so we can invoke the ancestors, because like I said, it's on Juneteenth as opposed to not being on Juneteenth. And my second caveat to that, I had sent you something that I wanted, a lot of people don't know what Juneteenth is. So I'm asking, I was gonna do a short intro of what Juneteenth is and how it came into pass. But has Greer, who's the historian, is she gonna do that? That's my question.
Yeah, so that's what she's been doing for the past several years, right? That she does an introduction about 7 or 8 minutes long. She gives the historical context of
Hold on, Nikki. What I'm saying is, it's never been on Juneteenth. Is she gonna include the history of Juneteenth in her introduction? That's my question, because it's never been on Juneteenth.
Yes. So she's going to place it in the context of Juneteenth. And in fact, she's talked a lot about Juneteenth for the past 2 years because it's been so much at the forefront of people's minds when we've held it, which has typically been in late June or early July. And she gives talks about Juneteenth pretty regularly because it's sort of right in her wheelhouse of teaching African American history at Wellesley College. So she's excited to be able to kind of emphasize the context of Juneteenth all the more so now, given its date.
Does anybody else have any questions for Nikki? Because when are we gonna get our individual readings pieces?
So I usually wait until probably the Thursday. So like a week from today, we'll sort of assume that people who want to sign up will have signed up. And once I know how many people, then I start parsing up the speech and I'll email people probably by Friday or Saturday before the Monday. So you'll have a couple of days with it, but I hesitate to do it too soon, right? Because if somebody reaches out and they want to read, I want to make sure we create an opportunity for everybody who wants to read to have that chance. So I don't, I have not wanted to turn anybody away.
Okay.
Does that
Okay, good
make
to know,
sense?
yeah. Is everybody signed up here to read, Ally? Are you gonna be reading this
I
year?
can't read that day, but I want to attend.
Are you gonna be attending?
Yeah.
And Kat signed, everybody here is
I'm
signed up, right?
That's great.
We're here, yeah. And you know, after this, Nikki, we're going over to the Common Street. You wanna tell them about that? Or do you want me to?
Mhm.
Yeah,
The Native Cultural Center is having an event at 1 on the Common, and we're gonna kick it off with a reception for Kristen's Hope. A small kind of celebration, because we thought it fit nicely into Juneteenth, with the theme for the day, and like, why not, let's celebrate our first Black woman at our select board. And in keeping also with Kristen's request, it's gonna be simple and elegant. And Roach Brothers has agreed to donate a cake. They've actually given me a gift certificate, so there's a little bit more money, so I can buy the plastic forks and the paper plates. And BJ's is donating 2 platters of cookies. And Paper Fiesta is gonna donate some Juneteenth colored heart-shaped balloons that we can put to the table. And we're waiting to hear from Staples to see if we can put a banner across the front of the table,
Right.
in honor of Kristen. And then I'm gonna just go to the dollar store and get a tablecloth or something for the table. I think we actually might need 2 tables, because I think, Deb has some activities planned for kids,
yeah.
like at the same time. So I probably need to ask for 2 tables and some chairs, a few chairs out there, but, we certainly need help. And I, for instance, am a terrible cake cutter. So if somebody, would you help cut the cake? Because I just find it hard to do without like making a mess, and
I'll even bring one of my ceremonial stores.
that'd be great.
Wow, that's wonderful. That'd be nice.
That'd be great. And the plan is to have the cake at the beginning of whatever is planned for these activities. And I think, was it Deb is gonna do, an invocation, a blessing, for the event, and a special blessing on Kristen.
Who was?
Deb,
Me, I'm a evangelist. Evangelist, but I'm still an evangelist.
yeah,
I'm
but,
not travel,
But
but they.
but she's gonna do it like interfaith.
if
She's
she's
not
gonna,
gonna be.
Donna's gonna help me write it, so it'll be.
I write all my own speech.
And then-
And then we have the bishop coming, don't forget, he's coming too.
You might know for sure.
Yes, but we didn't include him in this.
No, but he's coming anyway, he'll be a native. Who is he?
He's coming to Coffee with a Purpose in the
And
morning.
then he's coming over to,
Man, it's
a stacked day. he'll be there.
Yeah, it's a pretty busy day.
Yeah,
After Deb gives her like invocation, I'm just gonna invite people to eat cake and grab some
That is
refreshments. And
Are
Kristen.
they actually starting the Coffee with a Purpose on that day?
yeah, we are.
Yes, and it's gonna be in person here
At 9, right, 9.
or hybrid, and the bishop will be here.
Yeah, at 9 AM, before the.
Before the Frederick Douglass thing
Yeah.
at the library, so it's a full day.
Mhm,
Yeah, it's,
yeah, so
and then
then,
there's the,
I'm actually the guest
Film.
speaker. That's.
in the evening. at
Yeah,
Pican.
there's a film like at
Monday.
4 or something
I'm
like
the
that.
guest speaker.
It's a very
We-
full day, but
Yeah.
I think it should be a very good day. I also think it's wonderful because, well, there is no school that day, because school gets out early this year, it gets out June
It's over.
15th. It's over, but it still is a nice, educational, informative day for kids to participate in and to learn about, Juneteenth and a little bit about African, history. So is anyone also willing to help with the reception part of it? We've got Paul cutting cake
Refresh my memory now. It's gonna be at 1:30
at 1,
at 1. What time is the reading at the library?
10.
At 10 AM, okay.
Is that gonna be recorded live?
It's
Good
recorded,
question.
not live.
It'll be recorded.
Recorded,
not
but
live.
we won't, yeah, I don't broadcast it live.
Okay,
It's gonna be outside. We're talking about the cake cutting thing.
No,
ceremony?
now,
No, the
not
project
the
down there.
ceremony, I mean,
Yeah.
The reading.
the reading.
And I'm not sure how long that lasts. I think it goes to like maybe 11:30 or something like that. There's a little bit of a break before the 1
Yeah.
o'clock program
Yes.
on the common.
How long did that last, Nikki?
So the reading really should be over before 11. But this year
Oh.
we've offered, Brenna is going to sort of be available to do some dialogue afterwards for people who want to. And I haven't talked to her yet about how formal or informal she wants to make that. Nobody has to participate, but she will sort of hang out over by refreshments and create an opportunity for people who might want to talk about the speech.
Since this is a historic event for the town of Natick, and Brenna is a historian, African American historian, you think you can invite her to the reception where we're going to cut the cake? We're having a big reception for Kristen Pope, who is the first African American woman ever.
Yeah, so that was actually a question I had. Is that reception by invitation only, or is it something we want to mention at the Reading Frederick Douglass event? And
Definitely
people-
at the reading. It's
Okay.
open to everybody. It's really meant to be a reception that Native for Black Lives Matter is sponsoring for the entire town to honor
Okay.
Kristen.
Okay,
And it's in the spiritual center, is that correct?
No, it's outside on the common.
Oh, okay.
And we have the official cake cutter
Is
right
there
here.
music going on in the common?
You're on the drum nomad, they're in the program.
Yeah, I thought it was in the common.
Yeah,
There is a program, but we have the first part of the program.
right.
So people can come and grab cake and whatever while the rest of the program is going on.
If you want a drum,
No, I was just, I thought there was like at least two musical groups. I was just wondering if it,
There probably are, I mean, there
Yeah.
is a program planned. So there probably are, and it actually would be, we don't want competing groups in
I
terms
have-
of.
I have a schedule, and it's not I believe the schedule is Day for Black Lives Matter is gonna do the reception, right? Do you know how long we have for that?
Well, really just the idea is you do the invocation and the blessing for Kristen,
Mhm.
and then I invite people for cake. It's very brief,
Mhm.
and then they continue on with their program. So
Okay.
the idea is people wander over to the table where Mr. Carew is gonna be helping to serve the cake with his sword.
How formal, yeah, today, Mr. Carew.
I
Yeah,
know,
that's-
Well, speaking of Mr. Carew has been a big advisor to, Mr. Carew has been a big provider and major donor to Native Black Lives Matter. And he's also the community liaison for Native Black Lives Matter, so what that means is when I need to come and I need to talk to Paul about issues or whatever, if I have an event, he's also, he does mental health and 12-step programs and stuff.
I don't do 12, so I do smart recovery. yeah.
Not recovered, so, and I'm in the mental health field. so I
Nikki?
need a lot of, and stuff.
Nikki,
yes.
please read the chat. I sent you some. Thank you.
So I
Oh,
was just-
okay. I
I was
just,
just-
Deborah or Donna, could I just ask a quick question? So
Go ahead.
at the reading event earlier in the morning, I typically introduce Brenna and then Brenna gives her talk and then the reading begins. But if someone could send me sort of the text of what you might like me to say, inviting people over to Kristen's celebration. I just, I sort of want to make sure I get it right. So if you just send me sort of like time, location, and what
Okay.
framing you want, that would be lovely.
I would be happy to do that.
Do you have an email?
I do.
Email? Okay,
I do, because I accidentally sent her an email to a email.
so back to briefly, Paul. And then I wanted to introduce Kat Monahan, who's our new treasurer. Kat Monahan lives in West Natick and Nickput land with her family. She works at the Laundry's Bicycle and serves on the ESOP committee. I don't know.
It's an employee stock ownership program.
Okay. She's She's represented precinct 3 in town meeting since spring of 2020. She's returning to the finance committee after a brief absence. She focuses her activism on racial, economic, and environmental equity. Kat has an MBA in finance and nonprofit management from from Boston University. So we are totally excited to have Kat on and in the environment as our new treasurer. Yeah.
That's good.
Deborah, are we all set with Nikki? She might want to return back to her family.
Yeah, I do have to jet if anybody has any related questions.
I just want to say that I heard Brana speak last year and she is amazing. I mean, she is just a wonderful, wonderful speaker, and I think we're lucky to have her, and I look forward to what she has to say today, this year.
Awesome.
Yeah, I do too. She's a real treasure to, lucky she lives in Natick and has kind of an investment in the community. It's awesome.
It is awesome. So thank you for everything you've done to put this together. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. And thanks everyone for sort of getting behind it. And it's really exciting. It's a great partnership and I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you for donating.
Thank you
Well,
all.
Nikki, I responded to your question.
Oh, okay. I'll just respond
Yeah.
quickly and then I've got to jet. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody.
All right, take care.
See you soon. So welcome, Mary Ann.
Yes.
Mary Ann is from the town of Wayland, right?
Mhm.
And we did some collaboration there with, we did the Wayland
Multicultural Festival.
Festival. So Mary Ann came today. Welcome.
Mhm.
So, that's the extent of talking that I'm prepared to do.
Well, I guess we ratified Kat as treasurer, which is great. And you said something about, do we need to just ratify Bruno? I mean, I think we're
Yeah.
all thrilled that you're
Yeah.
gonna be the arts person, so
That's
we need to just give you a hand and
Can't
thank.
draw.
Yeah.
No, we want like drums that sound like heartbeats.
Oh, yeah.
I can do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
What
awesome.
is your last
Yeah.
name?
Giles?
Jack.
Yeah, yeah.
Bruno, you're part of the drum, are you the head of the drum
I'm
band?
not the head of the drum,
But you're-
but we're,
Part of the drum
yeah,
band.
we'll be playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the drums are just awesome.
Yeah, so
And-
excited, yeah.
Deb proposed me as a board member, so, is that okay with everybody or
Advisor, yeah.
Word.
any objection?
I think we should have a debate.
Well, you just tell me what
She
to do.
goes
and I
in this
do it,
rule all
you know?
the time, we are gonna have a debate.
No, I just wanna be sure everybody is okay with that and is
Support that.
good with that.
We support that, we
Make a
support that.
motion,
And then we have, new members, you said you wanna be a member, right?
Mhm.
Of Mary Ann.
Marion.
We have, you're not a member, but you're associate, affiliate
Affiliate to
organization.
you, yes.
And, member, correct? Member Sally,
Mhm.
member, and myself.
Nice.
Marion, your last name. Borkowski, B as in Bob, ORKOWSKI.
or Randy,
Randy, member?
Well, I'm a little concerned that there's nothing to be a member of yet. Because we don't have articles of incorporation.
Oh, okay, but
Correct.
we,
Oh, we're a little chicken before the egg. Are we members of a club? I'm kind of
Hold on,
confused
Eric.
because we don't have a formal
I
organization.
do
I
have,
think
in front of
I-
us
Oh,
with
let me just speak to
bylaws
that.
or anything.
Advisor will speak to that, go ahead.
Well, I think one of the tasks on the agenda for today was to begin a vision statement and to begin some goals of the organization. So why don't we just take a few minutes now and talk about what we might like in our vision statement? And there's a whiteboard there. Does somebody like to write on whiteboards, or is that a good way to do it? No, nobody does.
I do,
Okay,
okay. Alrighty. I could tell you what the past vision was, and we can go from there.
that sounds like a good plan.
So we center. We started Black Lives Matter with the murder, unfortunately, was a murder of George Floyd. That's when it began. It sprung out of basically Common Street Alliance, Common Street Spiritual Center, and we started with a Facebook page. And this is a little history, right? History lesson. Then we started with the moms group. I'm not, the moms group in Natick, I guess the moms group, are you still in the moms group? Are you in the moms group?
They won't have me.
They won't have you? Well, I'm
Maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, don't worry about it, I'm not in it
Kat,
either.
I think maybe that's a good thing.
Well, could you, politics. Could you just like kind of sum up for us what the purpose of the Black Lives Matter is?
Well, Black Lives Matter is it was basically to, we're against the police brutality of Black people, right? Because we found that was the issue going back here. And we also, Black and brown, we also support disabled, right?
Why don't you add seniors to that?
Seniors, yes. And,
Senior.
yeah,
Isn't there any marginalized group we would support?
yeah, any marginalized group, exactly. But we centered, just so you know, it was from the George Floyd, so the group is called Black Native or Black Lives Matter, because we centered it around, it came out of the.
Yes.
I think we also were concerned that we didn't want to be too overly identified with what the national movement of Black Lives Matter, because there are some very
Right.
questionable and
Right,
problematic aspects to
Yeah.
that group with finances
right.
and things like that.
Oh.
So we wanted to emphasize the Natick.
We do want to emphasize the Native. And and so because we're Native is only 2% Black people here. More than that, if you want to do the Black to brown, but since we're there, I had Tom, I worked with Tom. He was a treasurer,
Hello.
and VP. And we have a body of work on our YouTube channel, but so any marginalized people, right, including the LGBTQ community. Okay, and we have, do people know who Al Sharpton is?
Yes.
Okay, so we have Bishop Kelly, who's my bishop, who is he started off as a businessman, but he's a bishop of a bunch of churches nationwide. He has a contact with, what is this guy's name? Bryce Graham, who is the Florida, and boy, do we need someone who's connected to Florida.
Deb, wouldn't we say that one of our purposes
Advisor, go ahead.
is educational? I mean,
You got it.
we want to like help people in Natick.
Yeah,
Because so much of like bias and racist events, it's implicit, like, people aren't even aware sometimes of how they're discluding people.
sure.
So wouldn't we want to say that we want to like educate the community and?
Yeah, Debbie last year. On June 19th, on the common last year, that I don't remember. But he asked the group, how many of you know what June 19th symbolizes? Where it started, and I'm looking around and I'm raising my hand, I said, I don't know anyone that's raised my hand here,
Wow.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Knew the history of June 19th.
yeah.
And I was the only one who raised my hand,
Wow,
you remember that?
yeah.
And that's sad, that's
Yeah.
why,
The
this
educational piece.
year, somebody, whether it be, over the common, I mean, over the library, certainly, what is her name, Dr. Greer?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
Was it college?
yes,
Well, certainly she did next one, but then when we get back to the common, I think maybe it'd be a good second explanation. Maybe myself, maybe Dr. McKenzie,
right,
you know what I mean, maybe the two of us,
right,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
right.
Talk about it,
Yeah.
You know,
I would be,
this
Yeah.
disabled old veteran.
no,
Well, and also, I
Okay.
mean, we can also, because it's Native for Black Lives Matter, but you can be a white person. I was talking to Kristen Pope about this, and I said,
That's
well,
why I said, yeah, you on the ballot.
that's
She's
right,
not a
because
member.
I said to Kristen Pope, oh, you don't mind if this white girl, you know, helps coordinate her. Absolutely not. We are all in this together. So
I love her, yeah.
I love her philosophy, but I asked her if she wanted to join and she said, no, I guess she's really busy. And I didn't want to pressure her. And I also took her off I tend to over email, as you guys know.
Hell, yeah, you do.
I do.
Yeah, you
I-
do.
I'm over.
That's why I don't answer, don't expect me to.
No, I
answer.
don't.
don't know
And so
what
I
they-
said, Kristen, do you want me to take you off? And I think she feels like, oh, thank God.
I think
But-
that's okay. I can't
but
imagine
she-
that Kristen wouldn't be interested
But-
in an event that we did, or like an educational program
Yeah.
or something like that.
She is totally interested and she's also one of my advisors. Now, let me just say this. We can have any type of group that says Native is United that deals with racism, right? And we can have another group, Spark Kindness, which deals with, being. But my emphasis now, if you disagree, I don't have a problem with black, white people in the group. Now, Tom and I, we go back and forth on this because Tom was the vice president. He resigned on me and I was angry with him. But we resolved it. It was over some of the financial stuff, but we resolved it. And he wrote a letter why he resigned, if anybody's interested. But he was there for I don't know how many years and he was on me. He says, Deb, you've got to get more black people involved. You gotta grow the group.
Absolutely.
And my background is Oxford, America. I know how to grow groups. But I need help. You can't do it alone. You can definitely keep, but let me just say, my point is. And Ian and I had a lot of discussions, it's centered around black and brown, centered around. So it's distinct, when you say centered, it's distinct from, you could join Native Kids United, you could join another group, but. The people that are gonna be speaking with the experience. Are going to be the black and brown. I'm not saying you can't speak, you can't advise, but. We have to have the blacks and browns centered. Now, we can discuss it. What does that really mean? What does it really mean to be Native for Black Lives Matter? I mean, how are we different from Native Kids United? How are we different
Right.
from the main Black Lives Matter? I'm all for, I was even considering a name change. I mean, do you want to change the name? Do we want to not center it around blacks and browns and police brutality toward in racism and anti-blackness, we want to not do that? Or do we want to change it? Do we want to go in a different direction?
I think the
So what
focus
would
is,
be the purpose then?
yeah, I
Exactly.
think the focus
Mhm.
on blackness is important. The town is only 2% black. We're still rife with racism, and we do need to help people be aware of that. We do need to educate and all become aware, and I would suggest that there's a new DEI person for the town of Natick, Troy Smith, that we might invite him to a meeting, right, to talk about
yeah.
some of
Have
the,
you met him, Donna?
I haven't met him, I've heard wonderful things about him. Have you met him?
No,
No, I've heard wonderful things
I
about
might
him.
meet him tomorrow.
Part of our vision though is, as you say, to educate and to celebrate and to, and to reinforce and,
Yeah,
um,
right,
stimulate the wisdom,
right.
our racial ignorance. We really need to work on that.
Well, and
as a
I,
region.
I think to be like an affinity group, right? I mean, I know in the schools that matters, if you have like groups where like-minded people can come together. And to have like this as an affinity group, where when Black people come to Natick, they know that there's this affinity group, that they can come to Natick for Black Lives Matter. If they need support, if they need, if we
Right.
can help or educate or.
Right, but see,
So-
focus, go ahead.
I agree with you,
Mm,
Deb,
yeah.
that it has to be led, even if it's a 2% of Black people in Natick.
Right.
This group should be led by whoever is able to participate. And the rest of us support and are there to ensure that the vision that comes from that group of people
Right.
will continue. But I
Okay.
don't think that the rest of us should be creating an agenda,
Okay.
creating the vision, creating all of those things, because I think that's why it's called Black Lives Matter. And
Right.
so it would be wonderful to see more Black people that are leaders in Natick or that live here, that set more of the agenda.
Yeah. I
I
have,
think-
go ahead.
I think that you made a point that, Ocala is 2%
Right.
of the population in Natick, and I think that, being a educated in my past, I spent a few years before we came out of it, but being an educator, I still educate people, as a matter of fact, but in the school system. But being that education is number one, and Natick's population being 2%, I think is imperative on all of us. I deal with a very diverse population. In both my counseling and my VA stuff, so I could bring 3 or 4 of my clients here. Juneteenth, which I'm gonna do. My African clients of color in I've brought a couple of Native already, but I'm gonna bring them on Juneteenth to see how Native people in Native feel about
Yeah,
this.
welcomes and embraces them.
Welcome and embraces them. I mean, I've introduced a couple of them that have had some common. Like one of them's in the VA in Springfield, and I introduced him as Wally Show. This is Wally Shelby and my brother. They all look at him. Yeah, he was born and educated in Kenya, and I came to the United States at 22 years old. Went in the armed forces at 25 years old, and now he's working on his doctorate.
Yeah,
Well, he's my brother.
I have a brother.
Anybody questions
Yeah.
that? They're getting closer to me,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Well, do we have like, 3 or so points that we could say are part of our vision statement?
Is
so
it,
that-
you taking notes?
Yeah,
Yeah, we could do that.
I don't talk as much. And I lost my voice anyway this weekend, but I'm very good at listening. And I wanna read you what I wrote for,
Okay.
what all this says to me.
Let me just speak. I was ready to throw in the towel, and I said, Donna knows that, me and Donna have been hanging out for the last couple of months. And I said, Donna, I said, listen, I'm done. I'm emeritus, I told him slide into emeritus status. And let's go, let's have it. But this weekend, this poor child, his mother was shot, named AJ Owens. By a white woman through the door, she had
Yeah,
4 children. And I had just bought this book called The Second, because I majored in African American Studies at Tufts. That was my minor. I've been to Africa. I did the Africa Regional System stuff. And I got this book before this happened. The Second Amendment doesn't, this is where the educational piece comes in. I didn't know it either. But the Second Amendment was really set up to protect white folks from the slaves.
right.
And to this day, it's hard for a Black person, feeling, all this in this book, for Lancaster. I said, Don, I'm done. I'm done.
Do you think that we should all read that book together?
I might be.
Yes, like, oh my goodness, yes.
That would be a
So
very.
like,
Anybody read
Yeah,
that?
pass it around.
Anybody
Take a
read
picture of
the
it.
Jim Crow?
Yeah, we should, that's a
Have you read
good one
that?
too.
I have, I haven't read that. I'd love to read it though.
But
It's
anyway,
really, yeah,
so let's
I read
go.
it twice, have you read it?
Oh, yeah, that's the Bible.
That's a good idea, Donna, and
So,
maybe
you
create
could
like a
Take
list,
that book, yeah, we
a
can-
reading
I'll
list.
get in,
Yeah, and
Book club.
people might be interested too, to like, oh, I've been meaning to read that book, let me.
Well,
if you
anyway,
want.
I wanted to say that I was gonna throw in the towel, but there's so much work that has to be done,
If you would
especially
like,
in Florida that's going on.
Deb,
Hmm?
I'll take this book. I have some funds allocated in my budget to reading materials. I just bought 25 books,
Okay,
so I'll buy
10,
1, 2,
10.
3, 4.
yeah.
Yeah,
that would be
Oh, that'd be
wonderful.
wonderful.
That would
All
be
right,
great.
I'll order
Please
10.
read it, yes, it's not, it's not entertainment, cause I'm reading Tina. I'm reading Tina Turner's book, and that's more entertaining to me.
Right.
But if you wanna, but this book it's gonna help your soul, because it helped my soul, cause I'm like, how could that happen, and she's not arrested, it took 4 days to arrest
Well, I
that
think it's
lady.
really important that we understand more
I got that
about
book.
guns, especially.
I had to read
And
the,
locks.
I had to read the new, I bought like a half dozen books dealing with this issue. And I had to read the new Jim Crow twice in a row. All of my textbooks I read, you know, about the having sociology books I read several times. But I had to read this, make sure
Oh,
that I
yeah,
have full understanding.
you have to
Of
read
this
that
book.
book too. So
Well,
that's.
you know what I'll do?
Book.
This is what I'll do, I'll order 10 of this book. And I think that, have you read the new Jim Crow?
I know, I have.
Okay,
Yeah.
Been meaning to.
I'll order maybe a half dozen of Jim Crow.
Okay,
Some of you
Good.
folks are gonna start reading it, and some folks are just put it down.
okay,
I
they
mean?
will, let me know when they come in, and I got the stickers to go in the back.
And Deb, I'm thinking that, this wouldn't mean, like, different from organizing an activity. You know, where you're talking to Staples and I'm not getting donations, this would be like, let's educate ourselves and regroup and think about what to do going forward, so. It would be like,
In my behavioral groups, with me and Dawn, my partner in crime, will talk about a book. Like in sociology, psychology, it might be, whatever it is, and then I will buy 10 of the books. Depending on the topic, and we'll send them out to our participants, or I'll hand them out. Some of them are court ordered to take part in my groups. I'll hand them at court, here you go, read this book,
Yeah.
then pass it on to him, I'll bring it back.
great idea, yeah.
And what I do is, then
Yeah.
down the line, I'll say, okay, how many people have finished the power of habits? You know, and so forth, and say, okay, no, we finish it, let's talk about it.
And then Donna, do you envision if we do some educating, you know, ourselves, then that's the time we could come up with our best vision. Really,
That's
maybe.
what
Yeah, I mean, I think let's let Kat share what she heard
That's
us saying.
community liaison, because he knows a lot of
They don't
stuff.
want to hear that.
We do.
Alright, Native for Black Lives Matter. Founded in response to the pervasiveness of police brutality in America, catalyzed by the murder of George Floyd in April of 2020. Fighting to center the experiences of Black and brown communities and the intersectional struggles of all marginalized groups, the disabled, our queer and LGBTQ siblings, the elderly, and immigrant populations of Native. Our mission is rooted in education and community advocacy. We aim to celebrate the cultural and social impact of Black residents in Natick past and present. Nevertheless, we need to acknowledge the harm that racism has done to Black residents of Natick and advocate for a better future at the interpersonal, community, and governmental levels. Our impact is seen in our online, and some of this is aspirational. Our impact is seen in our online presence and email newsletters, lending library and book club, which you guys just invented, monthly meetings and community events, including candidate forums, children's activities, and participating in community celebrations.
Wow, I actually like that. I love that. That's
And,
pretty
did we-
polished.
Is that what was?
I
said?
I think she had that written before she came.
I
Oh,
like
you
it.
saw it.
That was excellent.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, I
So
think
that
that's
sounds
good,
like what
yeah.
you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about.
what I'm talking about.
And a lot of what we're already doing, but a more, this is our vision, this is our mission, and this is what we actually do.
And Paul hit it right on the nose, because he has experience in the mental health field, which the other people feel, and that's what I was telling Donna. I said, Donna, we need to have some diversity training. Because
Oh my Lord.
nobody can just jump in and feel our skin, because I can't jump in your skin, but we can learn from each other.
We can learn
And that's
from
the
each
diversity training, so it's not like, oh, I'm lording, yeah, I can't lord stuff over people, that's just not my personality.
other. No,
Yeah,
I got a email from, our town, one of our town fathers, several days ago.
Yeah.
A couple of letters from,
You want,
a couple of letters from, a group in Framingham. Now, there was a family from Natick, historical, the Thomas family. First ever, black admiral in the Navy. Was from Natick. Yeah, first ever. And,
Thank you.
and I had already been approached by somebody, a distant relative of theirs. So now this group in Framingham says, I tried to get in touch with, the Veteran Service Director, Paul Peru, in the town of Natick, do a square to honor Thomas in me. Well, that's a bunch of BS, because if he tried to get hold of me, I would have had it
You
done
would have
by now.
known, yeah.
You know, so I said, that's fine, so I'm not gonna respond to it, so I said, I did respond to town and say, I think it's a great idea, I says, I already have plenty of notes in the subject, which I do, including the admiral, colonels during the Civil War, the whole 9 yards, and, am I Harvard educator, you know? So, I mean, I know history in this, you know, so when this person sent this letter to the town administrator, I took it a little personal, but I got over real quick. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just gonna run with the ball now, and sometime in July, I'm gonna do a square to honor Thomas family in there.
Well, let's all get behind it
Yeah.
and be there and celebrate that.
That's why I bring it up.
Yeah, I think it's great that you did, because I think, like Deborah, the Florida thing that you mentioned, it's so heartbreaking. And we all feel so powerless. And I thank God every day I live in Massachusetts,
Yeah.
you know, and not Florida. And I think I don't want to ignore that, because I think we can't ignore it, but I think we'll kill ourselves if we don't also think about what are the things that we can do. That's why I think the education is good. I love the idea of the square. And I also saw today there was a victory with the Supreme Court. I mean, nobody expected it. They thought that they weren't gonna uphold the Voting Rights Act, but they upheld the Voting Rights Act in Alabama. So it means that all of the Black voters in Alabama that were disenfranchised by the redistricting, they can't do that. They have to go back and they have to fix the redistricting maps so it reflects the 27% Black population. Now that's like great. That's like a good thing. And I mean, we need to, like, you know, at
Right.
least celebrate what we can celebrate, because it's just god awful. And you know, affirmative action could be gutted in the coming week or so, and we don't know the impact that's gonna have. So I like what you said in this about celebrate. I
Well,
mean, you capture all the other stuff really well
The
too.
thing with affirmative action that bothers me, I'll be honest with you, is that I remember when affirmative action first came out. And what bothers me is so many groups, jumped on the affirmative action bandwagon, okay? Affirmative action really started in this state in the late 60s, 70s. And it was for a purpose.
Right,
I worked for out of college, I worked for the Department of Corrections. Right, my first 3 years in the Department of Corrections, we didn't have one CO of color, not one CO of color. But we had a 60% population of inmates of color, you know what I'm saying? So
Mass
that
incarceration.
that bothered me as
That's
a,
called mass incarceration for
that bothered me as a Marine Corps veteran, coming home and seeing this. All right, Marine Corps was kind of the same way, very few of color. But then I get here and I see, here we are in Massachusetts, where the population, in the city of Boston or other parts of the state, very high population, because I went to, well, the Northeastern with a ton of people from Mattapan, Roxbury, Dorchester, and I says, how can this be true, you know what I'm saying? So for action first came out, and next thing you know, 5, 6, 7 years later, they're giving Vietnam veterans affirmative action status. why are you giving this Irish Catholic white
Right.
boy from Natick affirmative action status? Why? Why did they earn affirmative action status? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's a bunch of shit.
I
So-
think I think it is, I think it's really complicated, like what's happened with it, and it probably does need to be reconfigured some way. I had like a moment of hope though, with my cousin's son in South Natick, my wealthy cousins, cause I'm like, I live on the edge. But their son goes to Philip Exeter, you've heard of Philip Exeter, it's probably one of the most prestigious prep schools in the country.
Sure.
It is only 36% white now. It was stunning to see that, to be there where there was such a high population of Black and Asian and students of color. And those students are all gonna go to like Harvard, MIT, and all these great schools, so that's the kind of like equity that's gonna like change
Yeah.
people's lives.
Yeah.
And
I
it'll
am-
change my cousin's son, because as a white person, he experienced being a minority, which was a good
Sure.
thing.
Go ahead.
I am wondering if we can get back to the conversation that we're
Yes,
having.
thank you.
So a couple of things, I think from Natick United perspective, to run this point, and I'm not sure if he's here, maybe left. That in Natick United, we already have our bylaws and such, and so then we can share those and you can take a look at them. And maybe you can repurpose them or mirror them or whatever you want to do, but at
That would be
least
great.
you will have something to work with.
Yeah.
Then the other thing is, when you were talking about diversity training, so Natick United has been facilitating a series of racial justice sessions. And so maybe it's something that we could co-sponsor. So I think that that would be a really good partnership that we can create to start with, right? And then it can be either done in person or we can do it. We have found that works really well on Zoom, even though, you know, these are very hard issues too. I have been doing them across the country. I created the curriculum with a colleague, and I have been doing them for different organizations in Hartford, Fresno, Springfield, for Urban Institute, where I work right now. And it works really well. It creates community, even though you do it via a Zoom, but we can decide whether we do it via Zoom or in person. So it's a try and true curriculum, and we have done it 3 times here in Natick, and we have had participations from different sectors of Natick, the school, the police department. Every time that we do it, there is one representative from the police. And then there's always someone from the schools, the select board, we have had a couple people, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying is that there is already something that is being done, and then joining forces instead of recreating the wheel,
Yeah,
you know,
that's
so.
my philosophy. I don't believe in
Yeah.
recreating the wheel.
And
Yeah.
the final thing I was gonna say, Pat, since you're the treasurer, wondering if there's already a website where there's a donation
Yeah, we do have one.
line or, you know, so
Mhm.
what I was thinking, that is very
Yeah,
generous
haven't
of,
started on that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I have.
but
we
it's
have
very
it.
generous that you're offering to buy the books. But maybe when we receive them, maybe we donate to Black Lives Matter tours, you know, receiving the book and
Good.
donate
Yeah.
to Black Lives Matter, because, you know, it's important to continue to support,
Yeah,
You
one way of
folks,
supporting
you
it.
folks should decide how you wanna do it, that's fine. I'm
Yeah,
not gonna charge you.
no, I know.
but that's a good idea, so we
It
get
is
so
good.
much,
Right.
yeah.
Someone suggested donation.
So-
Right.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
just suggest a donation. Do you as treasurer have a sense of what our finances are at this
No,
point?
she hasn't been trained.
No, because I just
anything.
got ratified,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I told Deb, I wanna meet with her over the summer.
Yeah.
We made, like, when we were at the Wayland multicultural thing, like, I started to write up the email list
Yeah.
of like everybody and like start to get membership roles in order, so.
Yeah, We
That's
have,
a summer
we have
project.
we have some of the people from Wayland.
Yeah,
Few people from Natick came too, right?
yeah,
And I mean,
and
I have,
I have your notepad.
I printed 3 years worth of, because we're only 3 years old, I printed 3 years worth of, statements. Bishop Kelly's a finance guy, so he has them all, and he's working out the, financial statements. Because that's what we need the financial statement.
And the-
Well, and I was just thinking in the meantime, Deb, because you
Yeah.
said you needed some funding
Yeah,
for some Juneteenth stuff, so just to make sure that, you
I'm
know.
good, I don't think I need anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but you got to give, we got decorations. I have my t-shirts I do for pop, I'm doing Juneteenth, I'm doing, Natick nights. And I have my Natick nights for the kids, this is also gonna run over to the other thing. But I have my books, that's separate, I have my own little pop and bean thing, but that's part of my,
May
my
I
thing.
ask your name? I'm so sorry. I
Okay.
can't-
Miriam Hernandez Jennings,
Okay.
yes,
Hernandez James.
Jennings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So about the finances, Bishop Kelly's working on the financial report. He hasn't released, it's gonna be released in the next meeting. Which
Yeah.
is, when is the next meeting?
I don't know that we've decided.
Yeah, he's coming Juneteenth, and he's gonna bring the financial reports then. So everybody should get a copy, we'll have a copy. And then, I can have, Bishop Kelly talk with you, because he's the financial guy. And,
Or I might just email him.
yeah,
That's a
So
good
I have
idea.
his email, yeah,
you go,
and say,
keep me in
like,
the loop, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
both of us.
want, wait until he finishes this, okay? But anyway, I think the meeting is adjourned, we
Well,
have.
Before we
Oh,
adjourn, should
okay.
we just figure out Marianne's offer of
Okay,
like a
good.
joint like workshop, because it
Oh,
sounds
yeah.
like she's got a great curriculum.
Yeah, so we can.
I don't wanna pass that up.
Yeah, thank you, Donna. I think that probably we could plan something for the fall, right? Because during
Okay.
the summer, nobody's gonna come, but we were planning on doing one anyways, right, in the fall, and so it's a 3-part series. We do it, one night a week, every 2 weeks. There is work that is done in between, and so then that's why we do the every 2 weeks. And what we can do is advertise it, for the fall. And then we'll say that this is a joint effort between Black Lives Matter.
That'd be great.
And then,
Yeah, thank
you
you,
invite
Donna. Thank you.
everybody
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
will be
that's good.
participating, and then we will invite the rest of the world.
We'll send you our
Including-
logos, so that would be.
Yeah,
That sounds great. That sounds
Yeah.
great. And in terms of next meeting before people fly
Well,
off.
the, wait a minute, for the bylaws, you'll also send us.
yeah, I'll send the
Yeah,
bylaws to you, Pat.
is it okay if I email her and copy you?
Yeah, that's
Do
how
this
we'll
stuff
do it.
now, so I don't forget.
I was
Yeah.
I was just wondering, Kat, are you also gonna work on the letter of incorporation?
Yeah,
What's that?
well, you need some kind of a letter of incorporation.
What is that?
What is it we're
That's-
doing?
That's what forms the 501c3 that allows you to collect money.
That's like what creates us
I'll
with his
work, I'll
name.
work, I'm very familiar with that process, I'll work.
Will you work with Kat, did you work with, is that too much?
It's not too much. Colin, it's not, it won't take
Okay.
long.
It's not-
Yeah.
it's not
Do we
right.
need money for that to incorporate?
Sorry about that.
We don't need,
Yeah.
okay, we're all set then.
Yeah, that's perfect.
That was a good question. Thank you for
Thanks,
bringing us
Randy.
back to that.
Randy, did you hear the Natick Israelis gonna share?
Well, one of the issues that has come up was people start asking, I'm donating money, but where's it going?
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
a true 50, without being a true 501c3, you're kind of as almost like you're self-employed. Even though
I'm
it's
just-
right
Well,
around.
and it's difficult asking for
It gets sticky.
donation.
It becomes a
Using
sticky
common
issue.
streets.
Bishop Thompson has assured me not to worry that I'm under his 501c3.
Oh,
Under
he's your
his
fiscal
umbrella. He's
sponsor.
my fiscal sponsor,
Okay,
because I was worried about that, but Bishop Kelly, and by the way, I have some great workshops coming up too, for everybody to get involved in, but we'll talk about that on a side. I'll email you, how's that?
Okay, so,
Thanks, Randy.
there was also a message in the chat from Tom.
Oh, Tom said to tell you, he said, where he
Oh,
is.
I took notes on what Tom said.
He wanted me to say, please tell the Native to United lady that I have over the years contacted many times about volunteering, never received a reply. Do you want his email? You can reply.
Yeah,
Tom Daly.
thank you, Tom. That's interesting because we have like a,
Yeah, he's gone at this
He's
point.
gone.
okay,
But maybe that's important to know, because maybe there's some type of,
there is another message from him as well.
he said, great to see so
Oh.
many enthusiastic people, nice, have to sign off.
Something
Okay.
about the pastor at the Methodist Church.
Oh, no, he told me to invite some of the black people that,
Yeah,
like the church leaders, the black, at the Methodist Church, invite them personally to. Do we want to do a letter? Is that something, I have
That's
letter,
not the same as a personal invitation.
I know, but I'm asking, do you think we should do a letter? Because this is a kind of like a big deal. And so we could do a letter, I have letterhead, I just want to use my letterhead, I got new letterhead. I just want to use my letterhead,
What is a fine, Donna, but, I mean, that,
yeah,
but I think, I'm old fashioned, I think, if you knock on the door, Methodist Church, one of us knock on the
okay,
door,
yeah, yeah.
introduce ourselves. Hey, I understand with Black Lives Matter, Native, we'd love you to come to one of our meetings. I'll follow this up with a formal invitation.
All right, this is for Christian, we're talking about Christian celebration, typically.
Right.
Okay, so
I'm just
everyone,
saying, I'm just saying in general,
oh,
you
okay.
know?
I think it makes a huge difference. I just,
My letterhead.
somebody just got me on another town committee because they personally called me and said, this
yeah,
is what we're about, this is how you might help us and why we need your voice and. You know, the last thing I wanted was to be on another town committee, but it's so compelling when somebody
Yeah.
like draws you
I'm
in.
the same way, somebody called me, South Miami office, we
Okay,
just started this new committee in Natick, would you be interested in joining?
well, Donna, could you
Okay.
do one of those code, could you write something for us so we can, when we go knock on the door, we know what to say?
Well, we need to make a list of who we want to personally invite. And what
Well-
we're inviting them to.
Right, but can you just say what we're gonna say?
You know, one of the things I think is.
Or I can do it, I don't care.
Over the
Yeah.
years,
I can help.
over the years, you know, with my different positions, I've actually taught communication classes.
Yeah,
So I think it's a huge thing is having somebody, maybe me, Donna, you know, or public speaking, school teacher right here.
yeah,
We got all different people here that can help with the communications.
yeah. I don't wanna hog all the work, I'm tired.
well,
You know what I
of
mean?
course,
Yeah,
And nothing personal, but we get tired of hearing you all the time.
Yeah, and we need, people can't go without thinking. I think the letter about this 501(c)(3) is important, that I think we should have our own. We need to have our own,
I also corporation,
right?
but
That'd be good.
we'll start that process.
Yeah, I think that would be
Oh,
great. That would be
dreams come
so,
true, guys.
that would be so
Yeah.
helpful. And let's think about when the next meeting is before everybody like
Okay.
takes off the highways and byways.
It's still Natick night, so everybody can go enjoy and, you know.
I gotta be my family.
I can't, I'm babysitting a cat for you.
Do we want to, after Juneteenth and Christian celebration, do you want to like have a hiatus and meet again formally in August?
Good idea.
Yeah,
I think that's a good
that's a good
idea.
idea.
Yeah, if we have any ideas, do we have a mass emailing,
Well, and if you get our books, we could stop down the community center and pick
Yeah.
one up.
the
And
second,
then give him,
Yeah, yeah.
give him the money.
But
and then
I
we'll get
don't
the
want
money.
the. When I get the books, we'll decide as a group
What
how you
we'll
wanna
do.
do this.
Yeah,
Make a donation of your choice, you know?
yeah.
Right.
I'm gonna be here by Juneteenth. You think that's
They
really?
could,
I'm excited
don't know.
about this.
I don't know how popular this book
It was
is.
good. It's really good. I mean,
I
this is,
mean, the new Jim Crow I could get in a week.
this is the,
Yeah.
no, this, you can get this book. This is-
Actually, that is a good one.
Yeah, this book is what we need to read, because I sleep with that book. Oh my goodness, I have certain
Hi,
things,
I have to call you back.
I have certain things that I have constantly by my bedside.
I'm so
Of
sorry.
course, my Bible, Songs for Black Lives, but when this book came in, because I watched the person who name is in this book, Carol Anderson. I watched her give a talk. And she started off talking about what happened in Ferguson, how they collect money off of black folks, like, you know, giving them tickets, more tickets, right? And so she's a black American, she's an African American professor. Now, the reason why this is so important, Paul, is because DeSantis, who's running for president, does not want us to know African American history. And I am Ben Crump, who's the Black Attorney General. We have a lawsuit going on in black, so this is very important. That's why you said we should read the second. The new Jim Crow, I would say 6 of those, but I would say 10 of these.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Like I said,
That's what I said.
Yeah.
I keep this by my bed. Because I need to know why this is happening.
I know a lot of people, I lent out, I got sold copies of the new Pro before.
Yeah.
And, I gave them all to people to read.
Yeah.
The person I do my behavioral work with, he's a psychologist.
Oh,
He got through the second chapter. He's done,
yeah, could you get
He's
large
done.
print? I need
Yeah.
large print.
right? No, he's still, I mean, he's just done. Now, he's a
Oh, yeah.
Jewish professor, you know, BU, you know, and,
It's
Uh,
eye-opening. It's really eye-opening.
but he couldn't read it. It's above his intelligence. He just couldn't read it. He hit home,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
you know,
It's
he has to be in the
eye-opening,
minority.
I
Would the second Thursday in August be?
I was just gonna ask if that would be like a good time. Is Thursday a good time, and is this a good time of day? And
Thursday's a good time for me.
Yeah,
My last client comes in at 4 o'clock. I generally kick them off by 10 after 5, so this is perfect.
okay, so let's do second Thursday in August at 5:30. And you tell us what we need to do to help sponsor or affiliate ourselves with your followers.
So by,
It's
But-
mainly lend the logo
Alright.
and advertise it, because it's all
Okay.
set already, right?
Okay.
The curriculum is all set,
yeah.
you know.
Perfect.
I'll send you
And just
the-
wanted to make sure, right, at the beginning, I said that I would be a supporter and an ally, but I cannot be at the meetings because I run my own.
Well, no, I understood that, which is why I said, just
Yeah.
keep us in the loop and tell us what we need to do.
Yeah, no, but what I want to make sure is that it's my desire to continue to participate with the group, but I won't be able to be here at all the meetings. That's all I wanted to say.
We're good. I think we're good with that.
It's also another step. Yeah, no, it's just that I do a lot of things in my, here in Natick, and I have a full-time job. And then plus Natick is United, so I couldn't participate in yet another. I'm also part of the immigration policy group, and I am, actively working on that, so. I want to do things well. If I participate, I want to do it well.
Right.
I think we
Yeah.
understand that, and I just want to say to everybody else in the committee, we don't want everybody getting. I mean, poor Deborah is on the verge of worn
Right.
out.
My
And
dad's sick too, you
and
know.
that could happen to
Yeah.
any of us.
Yeah.
So
Right.
please, just,
Please.
if you need to like miss a meeting or,
Right.
we'll work around you. I
I'm
mean,
used to that.
Yeah.
It'll never happen to me, right, son?
And,
I burn both
it's
ends,
just-
all the time, right?
so next week, Coffee with a Purpose, Paul is going to be speaking, is that correct? Next Coffee with a Purpose?
Myself and Dr. Sock, we're talking.
Okay, so everybody can tune in for that, for him,
Uncle.
Paul. And I think we're gonna adjourn, is there anything else anybody wants to say, or?
no, just come to the celebration for Kristen at 1 on
Yeah,
June.
and you have the notes for this meeting?
I'm gonna send you an email,
Okay,
that's all notes.
good night.
Good night.
Good night,
Yeah,
thank
nice
you.
seeing you.